Okay, let's talk about AI. We hear all the time that it's going to make us smarter, right? More productive, basically superhuman. But what if the opposite is true? What if the more we lean on AI, the less we actually use our own brains? It's kind of an uncomfortable question, I know, but some new science is pretty much forcing us to ask it.
All right, to get a feel for this, let me just ask you something. Think for a second. How many phone numbers do you actually know by heart? I mean, really know them. 10, 15 years ago, you probably had a whole bunch rattling around in your head. Your parents, your best friend, the local pizza place. And today? Come on, be honest. You might struggle to even remember your own sometimes.
And it's not just phone numbers, is it? We've pretty much handed over our sense of direction to a little blue dot on a screen. Our general knowledge, that's been outsourced to a search bar. We don't really memorize things anymore because we know that info is always just a quick search away. Now look, this isn't me judging. It's just an observation of a massive shift in how we're using our minds.
So this isn't just some vague feeling we all have in the back of our minds. Over the last year or so, there have been some major scientific studies looking into this exact thing, and honestly, what they've found is pretty compelling.
Let's kick things off with a really recent study from the MIT Media Lab. These researchers wanted to see, what is actually happening inside our brains when we use something like Chatgpt.
So here's what they did. The setup was pretty simple. They got 54 people and split them into 3 groups, all asked to write an essay. The first group could use ChatGPT. The second group, just Google search. And the third group, they had to go old school, no tools at all. And the whole time they were wearing these EEG caps to measure their brain activity.
And the results? Whoa. Just look at this chart. It is stark. On the right, the no tools group, their brains are firing on all cylinders, totally engaged. The Google group is there in the middle, still working pretty hard. But look all the way to the left at the ChatGPT group. Their brain activity was way, way lower. It's almost as if their brains just switched off and let the AI do all the heavy lifting.
And it doesn't stop there. Another huge study, this one from Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon, looked at almost 320 knowledge workers. People whose entire job is basically to think for a living.
And what they found was this direct connection. The more someone relied on AI, the less they used their own critical thinking. Their ability to solve problems on their own actually got weaker. And get this, their whole focus changed from trying to solve a problem to just figuring out how to get the AI to automate the task. A totally different mindset.
So, there's a scientific name for what's happening here. It's called cognitive offloading. It's our brain's natural tendency to just hand over mental work to an outside tool whenever it gets the chance. And you got to admit, AI is probably the most powerful cognitive offloading tool we have ever created. But hang on a second. I know what you might be thinking. Is this just another one of those technology is bad for us panics? I mean, every time some world-changing tech comes along, people worry it's going to make us all dumber. It's a story as old as time, really. I mean, we've seen this play out over and over again. Go all the way back to ancient Greece, and you've got Socrates worrying that the invention of writing would destroy our ability to remember things. Fast forward to the 70s, and it was calculators that were going to ruin our math skills. Then in the 2000s, it was the Google effect. And, well, here we are today with AI. Listen to this quote from Socrates himself. He literally argued that writing would create forgetfulness, that people would have the show of wisdom without the reality because they didn't have to truly internalize anything. Sound familiar? We know now that he was wrong about writing, so maybe we're just as wrong about AI. Or maybe this time is different.
And this is where the story gets a little more complicated. Because yeah, the fear might be old, but the tech is brand new. And the way it might be affecting the physical structure of our brains, that could be a whole different ballgame.
Okay, let's talk about a specific part of your brain for a second. It's called the hippocampus, and it's not just some file cabinet for memories. It's a super important processor that handles things like navigating your way around town, learning new things, and forming new memories. There's this classic study from back in 2000 that looked at the brains of London taxi drivers. Now back then, before GPS, they had to memorize something like 25,000 streets to get their license. It was insane. The result? Brain scans showed their hippocampi were way bigger than average. But now, studies on people who rely heavily on GPS show the opposite. A less trained hippocampus, and over time, weaker navigation skills.
And here's the real kicker. So what if our internal map gets a little rusty? The problem is the hippocampus doesn't just do maps. It's also critical for making connections between different ideas and even for imagining the future. So when we let our navigation skills shrink because we're outsourcing them to a device, we might actually be weakening a part of our brain responsible for creativity and planning ahead.
So, why do we do this?
Why are we so eager to hand over these really important skills to our gadgets? Well, the answer is basically hardwired into our evolution.
Your brain has been called a cognitive miser. Think about it. Your brain is only about 2% of your body weight, but it burns through 20% of your energy. It's an energy hog. So, for survival, evolution has programmed it to always take the path of least resistance, to save that precious energy whenever it can.
And that right there creates this massive paradox. Our brains are literally designed to seek out tools that make work easier. But learning, growing, building those strong neural connections, that requires a struggle. It needs friction. Without a challenge, our brains just don't grow.
And this leads to what you might call the automation trap. It goes something like this. Step 1. AI is amazing at automating all that boring grunt work, right? Summarizing things, writing basic code. But step 2. That grunt work is exactly how students and junior employees build their basic skills. By skipping that whole training process, we risk never developing the deep understanding needed to become a real expert. Which leads to the final step. If you never built that fundamental knowledge, how on earth are you supposed to spot when the AI makes a mistake?
So what's the solution? Are we supposed to just boycott AI? Of course not. That's like trying to get a job today without knowing how to use a computer. It's not going to happen. The key is to be more mindful about how we use it.
The real choice here isn't AI versus no AI. It's between mindless dependence on one side and mindful tool use on the other. We can either just offload everything and let our own skills fade away, or we can use AI to handle the boring stuff, which frees us up to be the expert, the editor, the one who makes the final strategic call.
So what's the big takeaway here? Use AI. Absolutely. Use it to be faster, more efficient, more productive, but, and this is a big but, you have to actively counteract its effects. You have to deliberately do things that challenge your brain, things that require deep focus, memory, and critical thought. Seriously, think of it like going to the gym. You might take the escalator for convenience, but you still hit the gym to keep your body strong. We need that exact same mindset for our brain.
Because in the end, it really is that simple. Your brain is a muscle. It works on a use it or lose it principle. AI gives us this unbelievable convenience, but that convenience comes with a cognitive price tag. And the question we all have to answer for ourselves is, are we willing to pay it?